Oh, this has never happened in all of my days.
What up, fam?
What up, fam? We made it. Hey, let me get a hey, LMAO. Ooh, YOLO. I'm Neil.
I'm Sam.
All right, and we're going. This is episode
12.
12
It is
of
episode 12.
the BFP, the Blood Feud podcast.
BFG.
Yeah, that's actually what we're talking about today. Steven Spielberg's adaptation of Roald Dahl's book, The BFG.
What is that's a Roald Dahl, the Willy Wonka boy?
Yeah,
Dahl?
Senor Willy Wonka wrote the BFG, which is the big friendly giant.
Oh, that's not what I thought BFG
Not the big, excuse my language, but the big fucking gun from Doom. Speaking of, they're making a new Doom game and it looks sick.
Let's talk about that. Let's do a discussion on that.
Yeah, well, maybe when it comes out we will.
Today, however,
we are talking about Inside Out.
The
Pixar.
very I was gonna say popular, but the very
highly acclaimed
Pixar film about
emotions.
And
the movie we're talking about today is very emotional. It's a movie called Inside.
Yeah, 2007, a French extremist horror film. I was kind of learning about the whole movement that sparked movies like Martyrs and
High Tension.
High Tension.
Yeah, two very excellent movies. We have an episode for Martyrs.
We haven't done High Tension.
We haven't done High Tension. I don't think we will.
Right.
It's a good movie, though. I really dig High Tension.
Or Switchblade Romance, as some people know this as.
Hot Tension.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. That's.
No, I don't know. And I think Neil and myself are going to differ in our opinions on this film, but I would put Inside at the same level as both High Tension and Martyrs. I don't think Neil feels the same.
I would not put Inside on the same level
but
as
that's okay.
Martyrs or High Tension.
That's what we're here to
We're here to feud about.
Yeah.
So
let's talk a little bit about the director and about some of the cast in this.
Sure. Is there anything significant about the director?
Actually, I don't know. Let's see. Has this director done any other films that I would know? Livid.
Have you seen
which is supposed to be the spiritual successor to Inside, although...
Interesting.
You know. Yeah, that's what I've heard. So Livid is supposed to be some kind of successor to this movie, although it really hasn't. It's about a group of teenagers who find treasure inside this like dead woman's house. I might be wrong about that, but yes, this is the movie. So just an interesting note. I might watch that. I don't think we're gonna do it, but apparently it's not as good as this movie. Most people say. Actually,
I think the plot summary of this sounds more interesting than Inside.
Huh. Well, I haven't seen it, so I'd love to probably watch that sometime and just see.
Dang, yeah, I might check that out.
It's just interesting to think about that. The director made a statement that it's supposed to be some kind of a sequel, not a sequel, but like
a spiritual
successor
I feel that.
To Inside.
There's lots of stuff doing that these days.
Yeah. So, but that might be interesting. Today, however, is Inside, and really the actors. They're all French, and apparently Beatrice Dalle, who plays the antagonist in this film, is of some note in the French horror culture. I don't know anything about that. I think we can just get right into kind of description and overview of this movie.
Sure.
Basically, this is about a girl, Sarah, who gets in a car. She's pregnant. She gets in a car accident, loses her husband, and it's Christmas Eve, and she's alone in her house. And I think she's supposed to deliver pretty soon. I don't know if it's. I think it's the next day. Actually, she might be supposed to deliver.
Christmas Day.
Yeah. Yes, but and she is visited by a mysterious person who attempts to get inside the house, and that's kind of how this movie kicks off. And really, the whole movie takes place inside Sarah's house. What else should we say about this movie? We're gonna do our usual.
That's I guess because this isn't a long movie, hour 20. Right. So if we want to keep it spoiler free, like we usually try to do, then we can't, I guess, go into too much too much more detail.
Yeah, I guess just why don't you give me an
Overall thoughts?
Yeah, we kind of always talk about. I always ask the question, who is this movie for, and maybe what makes it worth watching, or maybe not worth watching, in your opinion.
And I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question.
Okay.
And this might be one that you would want to wait until the end of the episode to answer. But why did you pick this movie either to watch or for us to talk about on Blood Feud? Because I mean, I guess we don't. There's a lot of movies that me and you watch, and like we'll watch it and we'll be like, no, I don't think it's something that we should talk about. So I guess what made you, and this could just be part of like same answer as why you liked the movie.
Yeah.
So I guess my thoughts on the film. My thoughts on the film were I wasn't a fan, I guess. I admired some of the scenes, some of the sequences, but for me this seemed like a film that was violent and gory for the sake of being violent and gory. And I know a lot of people will say that about like the Saw franchise, which I'm actually a fan of, at least the first 2 or 3 of them, because I feel like there's a lot more going on. And maybe there's just something I missed with this. Maybe it was just because of something lost in the translation from French to the English subtitles. But I just didn't really feel like there was a point for a lot of what was happening. And I thought a lot of it was pretty confusing, especially towards the end. It was like some of the deaths, the violence aspects of this were pretty shocking, and then I thought there was a lot of creepy imagery.
And I'll let you keep going, but one of the things I loved most about this movie was some of the creepy cinematography.
Sure, yeah, and like I said, like
about.
I dig it, but to me it just wasn't enough to carry. I guess the lackluster, bare bones plot, storyline, script, what have you.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Oh, who is this movie for?
Maybe we can answer. You can answer that now or at the end. It doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to pressure you to answer that now.
I'm feeling pressured.
I feel you.
I definitely feel like it's a movie for gory horror fans.
Yeah, this movie's brutal.
And I guess if you're into French horror.
the extremist kind of fashion that you really don't see in America. There's some real brutal stuff involving a pair of scissors really in this movie, which is one of the things it's such a minimalistic idea with these scissors, and we'll come back to that. If you've seen the cover of the movie, the cover of the unrated version is a pair of scissors over a pregnant stomach, so I'm not going to say anymore. The reason to kind of answer your question now, because that was very good, I agree with what you're saying. The reason I was drawn to this film because I see it on a lot of lists of most brutal horror movies. I'm always skeptical, so I was like, I got to watch this film because I saw Martyrs, I saw High Tension. Fans of both, particularly Martyrs. High Tension's all right, and yeah, I liked this movie because by the end of it, I was like, that's what I maybe both expected and wanted from a movie like this. Whereas a lot of movies are going to be pretty watered down, or they're not going to really go to this extreme level that I think Inside goes to. And it's not all about the gore, because the other reason, besides the violence and the brutality in the film, and the sheer creepiness of the antagonist's presentation. This film has some deeply confusing and unsettling ideas, and we'll talk about it because there's a particular scene that calls into question the very existence of one of the characters. Yeah. And I want to talk about that a lot. This is one of those films that there were a couple defining scenes for me that made me say, okay, I love the movie. However, yes, it is mostly a gore fest apart from some cool, creepy presentation. However, it doesn't overstay its welcome as a film. It's pretty short and it's pretty fast paced. There's not a lot of lull, and I like this one. And for me, I would put it up there with my other favorite French films, which would be Martyrs and high tension.
Have you seen any other French films?
Not from this. Well, yes, but not for. I mean, French horror
Right,
films.
right.
Not, yeah, I would. There's like 3 French horror films in particular that I would rank as my favorites, and it would be among this extremist movement, it would be these 3.
Sure.
Yeah, but and that's that. So as you said, who do I think this is for? If you like gore, if you're looking to see some boundaries pushed in film, or just to see how brutal a film can be, you look to the French because they're doing things that you don't really see in American cinema, is what I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I have to say. Go watch the film. I don't know. So your recommendation is probably not this one, right?
Yeah, I guess I would say if you're just looking for like unless you're like an aficionado, I don't know if that's the right word, but unless you're seeking out a gory film, if you're just looking for a horror movie, I don't think I would recommend it.
Fair enough. And I'm going to try to argue that there is a little more depth going on.
Sure.
To me, I don't know. I think this movie calls some stuff into question and discussion based on a couple scenes, and that's what we're going to talk about. So it's Inside. We're going to move into spoiler story zone now. So if you want to go watch the film, come back once you've done it. And if not, stay right here and buckle up, boys.
Buckle up.
So it's Inside. Again, we've kind of described the first part, and there's really not much to it.
Actually, let me say something about this, and it's kind of it goes on throughout the film. Actually, first, before I say what I wanted to say, one of the things you need to know is it actually begins with Sarah and her husband driving in a car. They get into a car wreck, and that's where it flashes forward a little bit. So, and she's pregnant. Like, she gives like this loving touch to her belly.
The first thing you see is a shot of a baby and a CGI.
That's
baby
what I
in a
wanted
womb.
to talk about.
Yes.
I hated it.
I
hated the
effects.
CGI baby because they
sure.
bring it up several times throughout the film as like bad stuff's happening to Sarah. It'll cut to a shot of the baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it felt very heavy-handed.
Oh, okay.
Like, don't forget, she's pregnant.
Okay.
There's a baby. Like,
but now, especially just with there is some misdirection going on with that first shot of the baby, which is cool.
you think?
Oh yeah. Well, because of what ends up happening. Well, okay, we'll talk about it at the end.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, no, I understand that. So your argument's that is heavy-handed.
It just seemed a little heavy-handed and cheesy to me.
Cheesy.
Like, I would have been okay
sure.
with it maybe once in the beginning. Like, I guess there is probably that double meaning to it in the beginning scene. But
just the fact that it keeps happening is what you're saying.
Yeah, it seemed a little unnecessary.
Okay.
So.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so there's 2 cars in the accident, and so Sarah's in the hospital now. Her husband has passed away, but she is fine. And there's a conversation with a nurse that I don't really think... I'd have to watch it again. I don't know how much significance it actually plays. Just something about how a nurse had lost her baby.
Yeah.
If you're more familiar with that scene and you think it has more impact on the film, chime in or something, because I don't really see that as being too important to the film. Anyway, so she basically we see her back at home now. It's Christmas Eve. It's dark. It's raining.
And she's made arrangements with her boss. I mean, she's a news reporter
and a photographer.
Specifically, and she's made arrangements with her boss to take her to the hospital in the morning, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, I mean, the film kind of kicks off right away, and Sarah gets a knock at her door, and there's a woman asking to come use her phone, and she decides to say no.
Well, she says, my husband is sleeping.
Oh, and to which the female replies, I know he's not.
Yeah.
I know your husband's not here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty weird. And she kind of leaves then, but as Sarah is back in her living room, this woman and looks up at her kind of big flat window door. What do you call a flat?
It's just like it's a window
but
She's
there's a
got,
door.
I thought
too.
it was in her. It's her like back door.
Yeah, it's like her back sliding. It's sliding door. Thank you. But it's all transparent, and it's just a really cool scene where there's lightning and rain, and then this woman is just standing all in black. You can't really see her face, staring.
All you can see is she's got a cigarette.
Yeah.
So you can kind of just see by the light of the cigarette.
And this is one of the more elegant aspects of the film is the initial scenes.
I did like this part, yeah.
Where she takes her picture. Sarah takes this woman's picture, and it kind of doesn't really develop that well, but she puts it on her table. That comes in later. And remind me again, this woman does end up getting in the house very quickly. I think she's able to come through the front door, actually. But I don't really remember. I'm going to have to recall how that happens.
I don't think you ever actually see it because she's there. Like, she's in the house.
This is my favorite scene in the movie, but another reason, and I'm going to keep stacking up evidence that things are not necessarily as they appear in this film. In a similar way to High Tension.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? So
I want to wait
okay
until a particular scene, but I will elaborate, yes.
Okay.
However, so she's in the house now, and we know this. This is my favorite scene. Sarah's just chilling on the couch. And, like, there's a dark hallway behind her, a black, I'm actually going to try to pull up the scene.
Pull it up. Let's take
There's
a
a
look.
black hallway behind her, but if you're paying attention, you can kind of see that there's this weird black mass, and it slowly starts to float backwards like a ghost, and it's the woman, like a ghost. And you can miss it if you're not paying attention. I'm pretty sure it's this. Hold on, we're watching it on the big screen here.
Oh yeah, we're actually in a movie theater right now. People are watching Star Wars all around us, and they're kind of getting a little bit upset that we have.
But we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, that's a little bit more important
because we're dedicated to bringing this to you. Anyway, in this scene, it's just a cool instant, and there's not many instances like this, but there are other scenes where the La Femme, her character's name is, the woman, is portrayed as a ghost, as a specter.
Yeah, I caught that same.
Watch this shit.
Oh.
This is the coolest shit. Hold on. There. Watch. You see her? But you can barely tell it's her until... And just look for her face as it kind of floats backwards. Why can't I see it now? Oh, yeah, you can see. It was too dark, though.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything.
Damn it.
I think you're going crazy.
No. She was there. She was there. Like,
she was there. I saw.
And it's so, and you can see the cat's kind of walking around her. So we think it's just the cat, but then as it zooms in, I'm just going to show you again because...
See if you can get a screen grab of it.
Look, and it's her dress now because the door is obscured. It's the woman's dress and arm, and if this was not as shitty of a YouTube video, you would be able to see her face as her figure literally floats like a ghost back through the door. Another piece of compelling evidence to suggest that this woman is not what she appears. All right, wait. And her head moves, and she's literally standing right there.
Oh, I get it. That's not a hallway. That's the lady.
Her. But it was a hallway, and now there's too much blackness for it to be the hallway. And then she's floating back, and I'm telling you would be able to see her head if it was the real version. But
so she's standing right behind her.
Yes, but then she floats and moves that way. She floats.
Okay, maybe I missed that the first time.
Anyway, that was my favorite scene in the movie.
Okay, yeah, no, I get
and
that.
That was one of the things that kind of sold me on it. But so creepy, so good. Anyway, so she's in the house. She's inside.
Oh, dude, roll the credits.
End film. The rest of the film is all you're just supposed to assume.
60 minutes of credits.
Yeah, so that's good. And, what ensues now is just...
brutal mayhem.
Sarah goes to bed, and there's this kind of... I would call it, like, in terms of the film, it's an iconic scene where this woman in black sneaks into her room with a pair of scissors and puts like this. I think she puts something on her. I don't really actually know. There's like a jar of.
It's probably just some kind of like disinfectant.
Yeah. Oh, right. Because she doesn't want to harm the. Yeah. So and she starts to literally stab into Sarah's belly.
Into her belly button.
Into her belly button. And it's what you're going to cringe during this scene, I think, because I did. And then Sarah wakes up. And this is when it starts, because we end up with, there's a struggle, but Sarah ends up in the bathroom. And the woman is outside the door. And this is kind of how most of the movie goes. It's kind of a back and forth struggle, in and out.
Inside, outside, inside, outside.
Struggle. Sadness is there. Happiness, joy is there.
No anger.
Anger is not there.
No.
Yeah. So what else of note happens? Because this is a weird film to talk about. Because, I mean, Sarah's boss ends up showing up, and like the woman.
Yeah.
I guess they've never actually met in person before.
Her mom. She
pretends.
She says that she's her mom.
Yeah. This woman pretends it's.
And this was another part where I was like, that's kind of cheesy. So the boss just decides to show up. Well, actually, we forgot. Sarah calls the police after she first sees the woman.
Yep.
And she says, hey, can you just, keep stopping by?
Right.
I'm kind of freaked out. But so her boss shows up. And, the lady's like, oh, I'm her mom.
Right.
And then they're talking. And as she's about to kill him, her mom walks in.
Her real mom.
Her real
up,
mom. Yeah. This is Scooby-Doo hijinks.
You think? I don't know. I guess
it's not that bad.
It didn't bug me, is all I'm saying. But that's fair.
So, and this was kind of a messed up part. So when this happens, Sarah's mom rushes upstairs, and Sarah had gotten a hold of, a needle or something.
Yeah, it's a big needle or something.
And she's preparing to attack the woman. But her mom opens the door, and she just blasts her mom in the neck
with the needle.
And
so that's pretty tragic.
Squirts everywhere.
By this time, Sarah's boss has found the photograph that Sarah took of the woman when she was outside, and is kind of starting to figure out that this woman is not Sarah's mother. But it's too late, because he's murked. He gets like a knife to the ankle or something.
No, that's I thought that was one of the police officers.
I'm not sure. He gets killed on the steps. He gets brutalized with something.
Oh, he does get because he's coming up to see what the noise was, and he gets scissored in the ankle.
The scissors are
scissor me
real
timbers.
Nefarious in this movie. So after they're dead, now she's back in the bathroom. There's a point where the police show up, but there's a little bit more struggling. And we don't need to talk about this a lot, because it's a lot of screaming, a lot of stabbing. At one point, Sarah's arm gets caught outside the door, and she actually gets the scissors stabbed into her hand and pins it into the wall.
Yeah, that part was pretty brutal, and that's when the cops show up.
Yes.
When she has her hand pinned there.
Right. And I'm just trying to catch us up here. I just want to say there's a lot of blood in the bathroom. It's real gory.
Well, because it's like an all white, almost linoleum.
Yeah, I like the presentation because it just makes it look more brutal. Sarah breaks the mirror and gets a piece of glass to defend herself with, and she's just getting more bloody
because of her hand
throughout the film.
So the cops show up.
Now, when the cops show up, this is a major turning point in the film for me, because we really get the first indication, another indication that there's just something weird going on. This woman pretends to be Sarah this time, but the police slowly realize that she's not pregnant, so they come back as the woman is trying to kill Sarah again, but then the police come back, so she has to answer the door. They end up coming in. Two of the police go upstairs, but one of them stays downstairs. Now, what happens is the woman, kills the police officer.
The one downstairs.
And takes her gun, which is a revolver.
Yes.
The other cop is upstairs, and he's kind of like he's about to save
Sarah. He's pulled her hand out, or pulled the knife out of her, or the scissors out of her hand.
And he gets his head blown
This is my favorite
off.
part of the movie.
I missed it. Where's the scene where this police officer gets his head? So here it is. So the gun that she has is a revolver. Just blows the cop's head off. That's a great scene of gore. And, you can see it. It's a revolver. Now, after this, there were two other people in the car, and you can even see her shooting that revolver into the door. We see what it looks like, right? The other police officer has a a different kind of gun, and this last police officer has a prisoner with him, a little kid. They end up coming into the house.
Not a little kid. He's probably early 20s.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, if anyone's not seen the movie, I don't want them to expect there's like an 8-year-old.
I'm sorry, you're right. So they go into the house. They don't find the woman retreats. Okay. And they find the bathroom with Sarah. They kind of they start freaking out, and they get her bandaged up a little bit. This is problematic because this police officer sets his gun down, but he has a different kind of gun. It's not a
9
revolver.
millimeter?
Okay, yeah, it's a 9mm. It's not a revolver because the woman, has a revolver. This guy, you can see it's a 9mm.
Yeah.
Right. So they're gonna bandage Sarah up, and then they leave her standing alone upstairs while they go downstairs to look for this girl. Now watch this scene. I'm gonna just kind of watch. So they leave Sarah.
The power goes out.
Yeah, the power went out.
Which, once the power went out, I don't know if it was the editing or the directing or the cinematography or what, but I found the film to be very hard to follow.
Yeah, it gets real weird.
But I think it's a little bit on purpose. But.
Yeah. So, anyway, and I guess I don't really know. I'm going to make an argument. Basically, here's my argument, guys.
Sure.
And my argument is that Sarah and the woman in black may not potentially exist at all, a la High Tension. And I think there's a little bit of evidence for that. One is that this woman kind of glides around like a ghost. If you're watching this scene where the cops are in the bathroom trying to bandage her up, the woman actually glides past the door, and they don't see her, and I don't really understand how they wouldn't see her. Also, that scene where she is in the house, how did she get in the house? But there's more with this gun business. So they're bandaging her up, and then after they bandage her up, they leave her right here, if you watch this. And the treatment of Sarah after they leave her is very weird. That's a weird shot to me, very ominous, the way she's just standing there.
Yeah.
This is weird, but there's more. So she goes back to her room. I'm fast forwarding. We see her feet on this bed kicking this jar of that like weird disinfectant around with her. I don't understand why she's kicking it around. Then she lays back on her bed. Watch this, and then we see her hand come up, but it looks like somebody else's hand. And what gun does she have in her hand? Watch, it's the revolver. Okay. How did she get that gun? I'm not saying this is an end-all be-all, but she now has the revolver that it appears that the woman in black had, not the black woman. I just think it's weird. I'm not saying it's an end-all be-all, but it's another thing about this film that's really weird.
Yeah, no, there definitely is some weird editing going on there that portrays her as putting the gun to her own head.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like her arm but it is. And then we see that shot where they very deliberately show that gun, and I think maybe you could make the argument that it is her gun. It is not. I don't know.
Yeah, so I originally thought that this film was going to try to do that.
Me too, yeah.
Where either this woman was some other side of Sarah, or I thought maybe this was her child,
right?
Like in the future type, not like literally in the future, but like
but
it doesn't really ever go out of its way to explicitly explain any of that,
and it doesn't.
And I think even like, not that you're reaching, but it is a bit of a reach.
I think so too, and I'm not saying that. Especially if you watch the rest of the film, the indication is that the woman in black is a real woman.
Yeah, yep.
Because of what ends up happening very shortly here, which we will explain. But there's also this unsettling series of scenes that just makes me wonder, and I don't think you'll ever know. You can't figure it out.
Maybe they did it ominous, or not ominous, but vague on purpose, so that they don't have to say one way or the other.
I know.
She's real, she's not.
I just want to know. I don't know what to believe. I don't support this fully. Because there's a lot of evidence to contradict the whole this whole twist, right? The idea that she doesn't exist. But I just want to know how, this woman keeps disappearing and these cops can't find her, and then somehow Sarah has the gun that the woman had, and the way it's edited, it's almost too much of a giveaway that it makes it look like it's not her arm, but then it is her arm and she has the gun.
Right.
it's just interesting, and I'd welcome discussion about that because I think that's one of the things that makes this film a lot more interesting for me, even though it might not even be a thing. Who knows?
Yeah, I would just think you would need a little bit more
Yeah.
evidence within the film
Yeah, no,
for that
sure.
to be, because there's like nothing else that happens that would. Because who do you think the woman is? You think it's a part of Sarah?
I don't know because let's talk about the rest of the film.
Okay, yeah.
And let's sum it up very briefly because not much
Yeah,
happens. Basically,
so the cop that shows up with the prisoner gets killed.
yep, he has a riot gun.
Well, actually,
this
he
is weird
appears
too,
to be
yeah.
killed, and then Sarah and the woman fight in the kitchen. Sarah burns off her face.
Do they kill this 20-year-old boy that's with them?
You don't ever see him die. He's like freaking out, and he's like, "She's still here." And then I think you just hear a gunshot.
Oh yeah. But this police officer gets shot by the woman in black, but he was shot at very close proximity with
Do you get to
gun.
see the gunshot, or do you just hear it?
I don't know if you see like the gun get put to his head, I think.
Okay.
But he like gets shot with this riot gun, which is a suppression gun weapon,
Right.
and then he like later when Sarah and the woman in black are doing their final confrontation, he gets back up and looks like a zombie.
Yeah, and I thought this was incredibly stupid.
It was weird.
I'm sorry, but it's just stupid. It seemed like one of those things that was shock for the sake of shock, gore for the sake of gore.
But it's also off-putting because it's almost like at this point you're like, who is real, and is there something?
Yeah.
But it actually is just a riot gun, and he got shot at close proximity, so his head is all he didn't die, but he's severely messed up. Anyway, you've got this weird confrontation where Sarah ends up putting a blowtorch, or she creates how does she make this blowtorch?
She's got a can of, I guess,
it's right
cooking oil or some type of spray.
Yeah, I don't know.
And she has a lighter, and she lights it and sprays it.
Yeah, in the midst of a fight.
Then she makes a staff out of a knife and a torn off cabinet handle, which I thought was, again,
is that Sarah or is that
stupid.
The woman in black? Oh yeah, she does.
I thought that was stupid.
Yeah. It just kind of keeps getting weirder.
Yeah.
And weirder. And so in this scene we find out as they're kind of fighting and Sarah has this woman cornered against a cabinet with her face half burnt off, that this woman was apparently the other person in the car crash and that she was pregnant too. And her baby was killed
in the crash.
And
is this what you were saying in the beginning, how the image of
Yeah.
the child is misleading, where you think
Right.
it's Sarah's, but it's actually...
Right, we were actually seeing
Sure.
This La Femme's baby getting smashed against, the walls of her stomach and killed in this car crash. So again,
But see, I
there's
feel
no way
like-
you'd really know. I don't even
Right.
know if I knew that in the movie.
Because that might not even be true, because there's no
Right.
visual indication.
Yeah, I think I had to read oh, that was nice.
That was gross.
I think I had to read. I was reading a plot summary after I watched it, and they indicated that. I don't. Yeah, is that true? I don't know.
There's no indication that because you see the baby several times and it doesn't look different, at least from my recollection.
So oh yeah, this little boy does get stabbed. Not a little boy. This 20-year-old dude does get stabbed, unless that was the police officer. Anyway, yeah, within the fight's coming to a close, and Sarah kind of gets, I don't know how she gets like stabbed a bunch, and La Femme is kind of at an advantage, and they fight. Sarah loses, and the last scene here.
Well, she starts to give birth. As she's
Yeah.
crawling away.
So on the steps, bleeding out and dying, La Femme takes her pair of scissors and cuts open.
She gives her a C-section.
An emergency cesarean section.
Live C-section.
Very brutal. You would not see this in an American film.
I will say I was disappointed. Like they I think they pan up away from it.
Do they? Yeah, but you kind of do see more than you would see.
Or they pan down.
Yeah, but you see more than you'd see in like, oh, wow, they actually
I think that's just
edited that.
the video you're watching.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, so it happens. And I think one of the things you might expect is that, oh, she's not actually going to cut that baby out at the beginning of the film. But honestly, what you think might happen absolutely happens by the end of it.
And in the last image of the film is her sitting in a rocking chair, which
Altham.
again is weird. Yeah, the woman, which is weird because there's not a rocking chair really present anywhere in the film.
Right.
From what I remember.
Right.
Is that like censored out too in this video?
What?
Like her in the rocking chair?
No, it was there. It's just very dark.
Yeah.
Very dark.
Which I thought was one of the creepiest images because she's
Yeah.
got half her face burn up. And
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't really argue that that's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty brutal.
I liked that a lot. Yeah.
And that's the end, and that's what I mean when I say that. I'm making the argument that based on some of the scenes, you could probably say that maybe does this girl really exist at all? But then the ending is so material with this woman having taken the baby and having it now.
Right.
Is there some crazy metaphor happening or not? I don't know. And I don't think there's an answer, but I think it's cool how the film kind of plays with you and kind of just plays with you, you know? And that for me kind of added a little more depth, despite the fact that I do agree that it is a little absurd at times, a little far-fetched sometimes, kind of reduced to a gore fest.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
So now that we've finished our discussion of it, I kind of want to go back to your theory, which I don't completely disagree with, that the woman is not real. So my question would be, what is she?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. Is it possible that it could... Okay, let's explore some options here. I'm not saying I believe any of these. One option is kind of the obvious option, is that this woman is some kind of manifestation of Sarah's guilt, that of killing people. Maybe she knew that she had killed people
in a car accident.
She certainly knew she had killed people. Not
her husband,
right? But also she had to have known that at least one or two people in the other car did not survive.
Right.
Maybe there was a baby, a pregnant woman. Maybe there wasn't, and maybe she knew she killed that baby, or maybe she didn't. It could be a manifestation of guilt. She also could have been driven kind of insane by the car crash.
So, assuming that, why does she kill the cops? Why does she kill her boss? Why does she kill her mom?
To say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying there's great evidence to back it up.
No, because I dig the theory. Because it's what I thought the film was going to go for, but I don't. I think it kind of went too much the other way.
Yeah,
like it was starting to swing that way, but then it just went all the way the other way. Too much for me, at least.
Right, and it's problematic because that it's so ambiguous.
Yeah,
I wonder why they didn't make it clear.
Yeah, I guess that would be a problem I had with the film.
And I think it's more likely that La Femme is real, because I think there's more evidence to suggest that she's real than not. But just the way that some of the camera work and editing was handled to make her appear not real at times, especially the scene where she is like a ghost, and you have to really...
She is very ghost-like throughout the film, because she's got that long black dress on. You never really see her feet.
Now, at the same time, if she is real, and that's just a convention of style to make her appear more creepy, I still like that, because I dig that. Yeah. Very sophisticatedly handled. And, I'm telling you, if you watch the film, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to, if you're listening, and if you want to watch this film, just pay attention to how she's handled. Regardless of whether you think she's real or not, it's the fact that she's drifting and floating, like in and out of shots, past doors. Pretty cool. That particular scene that I tried to show you on YouTube, but it was too dark. You can find this whole film on YouTube, but it's like Japanese dubbed, so I wouldn't recommend. And it's very dark. Not worth it. But it's a phenomenal scene when she's just like you have to be paying so close attention to find her in that shot, and then she kind of very slowly recedes from it and moves this way.
I will say that it could be just a continuity error. The gun.
Ah, yes.
Like it's just an error on the filmmaker's part. But
still, though, the scene is interesting because they leave her alone and she looks very menacing.
She does.
Then she returns to her room and has the gun, and just the way it's edited, you guys gotta watch it and tell me if I'm crazy, because it's weird. I'm not saying it proves anything, but it just put me off. Anyway.
Yeah.
that to me, all these things combined, the end gets a little goofy with this zombie policeman coming back because he got shot in the head with some kind of riot gun.
When I saw that, I was like, "Did I miss something?
I know,
like,
that's what I
what
thought,
is
too.
going on right now?"
So it's not at all perfect. It's definitely not as patient or sophisticated as a film like Martyrs, and even Martyrs has a lot of flaws with just the pacing at the end. But
Yeah.
I can't help but think that there's a lot to be loved here if you're a fan of.
Yeah, no, when I say that, like, I didn't like the movie, it's not an unwatchable film.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some unwatchable scary movies, and this isn't one of them. It's a decently made film.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I definitely put it. I don't really. Never mind. That's my thoughts too. Although I feel like it made me feel.
You liked it a little bit more.
Yeah, it made me feel. I don't want to say good, but I watched it and I was like, well, that's
this movie about
cutting a child out
yeah,
of.
made me feel good, man.
It made me feel like my time wasn't wasted because I was like, well, I came here to see something pretty extreme, but also hopefully pretty well handled, and I thought that it was both extreme and interestingly handled. I don't know if it definitely wasn't perfect, and I think like I would have wanted some different stuff from it had I been like the decision maker, but like all in all,
why don't we just remake
that's what I thought.
Inside? No special effects.
Well,
let's just do it for real.
Just watched the Martyrs remake, so based on that one, I could tell you how an American remake of this movie would go.
Right, I'm about to say, they're probably talking about doing a remake of this.
Yeah.
So,
did we already talk? We already talked about. Yeah, we were talking about how Livid is or Livid, I don't know, is a spiritual successor. Yeah, that'd be interesting to check out.
I do want to check that out. I'm gonna have to find a way to watch it.
Just watching these French films makes me feel like there's something special in these French extremist horror.
Oh yeah, I know everything
films.
that I've seen. Well, actually, you watched Frontiers, which is a French horror film.
Yeah, that film's not actually very good in my opinion.
But we won't get into details.
Yeah, I was reading a forum where somebody said, Frontiers is all right, but it's not fit to lick the boots of Martyrs and Inside and Switchblade and High Tension, and that's pretty much my thoughts exactly. Anyway, though, this is not about Frontiers. Interesting movie if you're interested in another kind of French horror film that's trying to be like these films, I guess. But yeah, so that's the film. And sorry if I went on a little bit of a tangent about my holistic thoughts about this film.
I think it's a cool idea, but I feel like there's not enough evidence.
Yep. And all in all, it's an ambiguous film. It's a severe film. It's a gory film. And it's also an atmospherically interesting film. So I encourage people to go watch it and just to see, maybe they'll hate it. Maybe you'll hate it.
Maybe you'll love it.
Yep.
Leave a comment. Call one of us an idiot. Call me an idiot. Call Sam an idiot.
I'd love to receive both verbal
death threats
and Twitter threats. Subtweets.
Subtweets, yeah. Well, don't subtweet us. No one tweets us anyway, so we probably wouldn't see it.
We're on Facebook and Twitter
at Blood Feud.
At Blood Feud Pod, yeah.
Yeah, because podcast is too long.
Yeah, and then
Facebook
Blood Feud Podcast at Facebook. And we're really excited to do The Witch here, which comes out next week.
I think, yeah.
I'd like to try to do something before that.
We'll
see.
We probably will. I don't know what though. Normally we got like a plan. I guess if you want last season, if you want to call it a season, we had like a bunch of stuff lined up, and now like we're kind of not scrambling, but like I feel like we're kind of more winging it, I guess, in terms of which movie we're gonna watch. So definitely feel free to send us suggestions. I know we did have one suggestion. I won't say what it was. That we might end up doing, and it would be a little bit different format of an episode.
Yeah,
it'd be a little compare and contrast. We might do that. Yeah, I don't want to turn this into a 2016 upcoming episode.
No, but that just we're very excited to do the Witch and see what happens. I have some concerns about it that I don't want to talk about, just based upon maybe the media attention it's getting, and that
Don't let that detract from the film, though.
I don't know why that concerns me. I don't know why.
Maybe it means it's really good.
Hopefully so, because I'm excited for it. I saw something about satanic temple members making some kind of pact about seeing that movie. Or
Like they're super about it?
Yeah.
That's a good sign, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Like
Satan's down with it, it's probably pretty spooky.
Yeah. So
on that note,
I think so. We're excited. Watch Inside. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Give us a like. Let us know what you want us to talk about next. Until next time, I'm Sam.
Am I Sam?
You're Sam.
We're all Sam.
See you next time.